listening to Around Comics. 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 You're listening to Around Comics.
So we won't get the hot take, but in 3, 2, 1.
From Chicago, this is Around Comics, the comic culture podcast where we talk about everything in and around the world of comics and comics culture. I'm Christopher Niesman, and I'm joined, as always, by my partner in crime, Mr. Brian Salazar.
Hello. I am drinking this week. I'm drinking booze. I'm boozing.
Whoa.
I'm on a new diet. I have a new nutrition guy that's helping me try to lose some weight, and he's helping me by making me eat everything. And
nice.
Evidently I may have been starving myself.
He's a curler.
No,
You're on a curling diet.
Maybe he is.
Because I'm on a curling diet, which is basically eat and drink everything.
No, I still don't eat. I mean, I don't eat fried shit. I try and eat healthy, but I eat a lot more of stuff, and I'm not so worried about the carbs anymore. So, in case anyone was wondering,
yeah. Well, you looking svelte the last time I saw you. So
feeling good, trying to stay young.
Nice. Well, I'm drinking too. I'm having a Happy Place.
What's that?
I'm in a Happy Place. Happy Place. It is it's a wonderful juicy IPA from brewery up in Milwaukee called Third Space.
I thought it was a cocktail. I thought it was a name of a cocktail. I was like, I never heard of that before. That's just,
it is.
I'm having some.
It is a Midwest Pale Ale from Third Space Brewing in Milwaukee, Wisconsin.
Ding.
And it's delightful.
Yeah.
And Mr. Thomas caters. Do you have a cocktail? It's drink roll call. You know,
I'm drinking an old fashioned.
No, let's not start this.
Drinking just old fashioned. That's.
Are you brandy old fashioned? I'm assuming
not brandy, just whiskey.
Whoa! What happened? What happened to you, my scrawny friend?
It's well, you can't get good brandy here
because all of the brandy is in Wisconsin.
It's in Wisconsin, yeah.
Wisconsin drinks more brandy than the rest of the country combined.
Well, for real, when you go to a liquor store, they just have
Christian Brothers or whatever.
Yeah, it's just and I have a more refined brandy palate.
Of course
than that, yeah. It's like I'm not gonna drink.
Well, fine listeners. I believe that last time we met, we had given you the opportunity to join us in reading "Die" by Kieron Gillen. And what is Hans, the artist?
Stephanie
Hans.
Hans. I don't know how to say it. Haas.
Yep, Clayton Cole's letterer, Ryan Hughes designer, and Chrissy Williams editor. It is published by Image Comics. Came out it's been here the last year or so that Die started. The first trade paperback collects the first 5 issues, and it was Sal's pick for our joint discussion. So I'm going to throw it over to you. Tell us a little bit about Die.
Tell me.
Something. Well, do you want me to tell you about it, or do you want me to tell you what I thought about it?
Why don't you tell us why you picked it?
Why?
Well, I picked it because I had heard I had heard some good things about it, and it sounded like something that was up my alley. It's about a group of friends that start a role-playing game together, and stuff happens, and they end up in a world of the game, and they're kind of trapped there evidently for a while, and Yeah, so the reason I picked it was I've liked a lot of how do you say it?
Kieron Gillen,
Kieron Gillen's work in the
but
past.
with a British accent.
My problem is I want to say Guillen because
Gian,
I say
Ozzy,
guillotine. Yeah, Ozzy Guillen.
Ozzy Gian.
Ozzy again. Yeah. Are
But-
they related?
I'm sure they
Kieran
look
and Ozzy,
exactly alike.
they sound exactly alike too. They have the same accent. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
You do have the same haircut.
Oh.
It's the same haircut as me.
Yeah, this is true. I think Kieran's a little better dresser than Ozzy. Although Ozzy, sometimes looks pretty good, pretty sharp.
He is a dapper lad.
But yeah, so that's why basically I picked it. I figured I'm getting back into playing Dungeons and Dragons again and other board games and stuff like that. My kids are getting into RPGs a little bit, and as I've become middle aged, hopefully, knock on wood, middle aged, I've found myself extremely interested in anything nostalgic, anything from the 80s.
Sure.
I can't help but like, and fortunately enough, people out there creating stuff are either of my age group or they're trying to pander to my age group. So there's tons of nostalgic stuff out there now, and an RPG, a group of friends that start playing some sort of Dungeons and Dragons like game. And then
get trapped in the game.
Yeah, and immediately upon reading that or hearing that, I think about the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon back in the day.
Did you read the essay?
I did, yeah. So it didn't surprise me.
That was kind of the germ of the idea. Is that Kieran and Jamie McKelvey, who have worked on stuff. We talked about Phonogram for a long time, and that's part of the creative team from Phonogram and Wicked and the Divine. He's telling the story, kind of the genesis of Die, where they're walking around. Was it San Diego? It was some convention, and they're walking around and they talk. So the subject of the old Dungeons and Dragons cartoon comes up, and he kind of fixates on this idea because they never finished the series. So they never, they wrote but never actually produced the episode where the kids in the D&D cartoon series were able to escape the fantasy world and return home to their wives. And so that's the beginning of the idea is, okay, well, yeah, what happened to those kids? And so this is kind of his take on the that idea and creating a story of that. And I from the nostalgia standpoint, just like you were talking about, it's like, yeah, I always wondered what happened to those kids.
It's a perfect idea. I mean, it's a great concept and something that, a story should be written from it, because it's a great idea of like, oh yeah, what would happen if you and your friends did get trapped in Dungeons and Dragons or in a world that was, Dungeons and Dragons based, and couldn't get out. And I think it's a terrific idea. And unfortunately, I didn't care for the execution of it. Quite honestly,
really? Okay.
I didn't like the book very much. I found it to be really cynical and a real downer of a read, and
it's not a happy book.
Yeah, and that's fine. Like, it's not necessarily, I don't need like a sweet story necessarily or a happy ending even or anything like that, but I found it to be sort of really unnecessarily cynical, and maybe not unnecessarily, but I found it to be extremely cynical on two levels. One was about role-playing games and sort of the time spent playing role-playing games. And what I gleaned from reading it is Kieran seems to think that he may have wasted a lot of time playing games when he was a kid, when he was a young adult, when he shouldn't have. And I think part of it is like some sort of guilt, and I can't necessarily relate because in the same way, but I think he seems to have some sort of guilt about veterans of World War I. And that might be a very British thing. I don't know. Okay. But I sort of felt that in reading this. And that he sort of projected this idea of like, while he was wasting time playing games, there's these men that, sacrificed everything in these great wars. And it's like, we play war and they really went through it, and maybe we don't honor that enough. And that's a noble thing. Like, that's an honorable thing to think about, certainly. But I don't know that you have to necessarily attack one thing to defend the other. I don't know that you necessarily have to feel guilty about it, and certainly not preach that in a story. Now, it's his right to do that.
I see what you're saying, but I also kind of recognize at the beginning of this, and what's also put out there, the story's not done. This is just the first 5 issues, and so this could be setting up, a lot of redemption stories and character growth. I mean, they already had a couple moments of what looked like character growth, and then he did a little hairpin turn on us. But I think that the setup, especially in the first issue, is that you take these what is it, 5 characters, really 6, but the five kids that come back, and that time in 1991, just prior to them leaving, for most of them was the happiest time of their life, save 1 or 2 of them, because 16-year-olds always have problems. But I think that group of friends and them gaming, I think that point was like for most of them was the happiest point in their life. And then this happens and they come back and they're all kind of dysfunctional messes. So I don't know if it's an attack on gaming or the geek culture hobbies and how you're wasting your time. I think it's more of him writing really broken, dysfunctional characters, and I don't know what the long-term plan for the series is.
Well, yeah, but they were broken.
Is it how they redeem, or
they were
whatever?
Broken by an RPG, but they were broken by spending time in this world. And
I think they were broken before. I don't know if I don't.
There's no evidence of that in the book that I saw. There really wasn't much of that.
I mean, sure, it was an absolutely traumatic experience for them. I mean, they disappear for 2 years and come back, and but they still have all of their full memories. It's just that they're not allowed to. They're magically not allowed to talk about it, right?
Yeah, before they left the realm and came back home, they had the one kind of the main narrator of the story. He is a wizard type character, and he sort of put a kind of hex on everyone where they couldn't talk about it at all. That was the only way that they were allowed to leave together. So that they couldn't, and we don't really know why that is necessarily. You find out a little bit more as the story progresses. But I mean, like I said, I'm not. I think it's a well written story, but I think I talked about this before. Is that I've kind of boiled down whether I like something or not to a simple thing of whether or not I care about the characters. And I don't feel like this made me care about these characters at all. I didn't like any of them. I found them to be rather annoying and and particularly whiny kind of characters, and I didn't really I didn't care about them. Yeah, and maybe that's all it is. Maybe I'm just too old.
I don't really mean that.
Yeah,
but that would be the perception. Whiny millennials.
But I just didn't really care about them.
Actually,
I felt like that
16 and 91. They're basically our age.
Yeah, I don't think. Yeah.
I
just didn't really care about them that much. The book didn't do a good job, I felt, of making me care what happened to them, and I really just didn't really fall in love with any of them, and I was just annoyed by them a lot. They were just sort of like. I don't know how many times he said
they're really broken, dysfunctional characters, and the ones that you do have maybe a little bit of compassion for, they're not real developed at the. I mean, it's really focusing on with the Ash character, and then it touches on a couple more, and there's certainly some interesting touchstones for each one of them. But I mean, this is Ash's story to begin with, and if you don't feel connected to that character. And to talk about that character in the real world, it's a male character. In the fantasy world, it's a female character, and there's certainly some
Is it?
Yeah, his name is Dominic.
So.
His name is Dominic, and then it's Ash, and it's a female mage character.
And I think that was part of why I didn't enjoy it that much too, is because I didn't particularly like the art. I felt it to be kind of unfinished and a little messy. I wasn't really crazy about it. Just not my taste. Overall, like I said,
I would describe it as kind of a moody, painterly style.
That would be a kind way to describe it.
Yeah, it's dark. It's dark. It's dark, and it's almost like painting with charcoal a little bit. I didn't like the art right off the bat. As I kind of got through it, I warmed up to it as being just part of that world, and it was. I like the art more as I went through it. Still not my preferred, economy of line style of art.
Yeah, and that's all I mean too. It's not. Yeah. It's just not what I particularly like. And not that it's bad. It's just not what I like. So it didn't do much to enhance the story for me personally. So, like I said, I'm just trying to explain the things that I didn't like about it, because I got to the end of it and I'm just like, it's not a story for me.
I found it sort of frustrating in a sense that I feel like it kind of danced around a bunch of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But
never really went to the heart of it.
Well, yeah, like it just kind of like constant like allusions to things, but like not ever really like landing any of it in a particularly interesting way.
And I think that was another part of it is just I never felt any particular drama about it. They obviously get home, and now they go back. I guess we should. We didn't say we were going to talk about this in depth or that we're going to spoil stuff, and I guess we're trying not to. But
I think we told people we're going to. Yeah. I think we told people we're going to read it. So here it is. Let's talk about it.
But so they go back, and there's there's more danger involved, and obviously they basically what we find out is that the sixth member of the group, the guy that put everything together, and forgive me, I don't remember his name, but
I think they just end up kind of referring to him as the Grandmaster or 20. Because each one of them have a different numbered die. So.
Right. But he was the friend that put everything together in the beginning.
Yeah.
He created the game.
Yeah.
And he's now the all-powerful Grandmaster of the world that they're back in. And so they have to somehow defeat him or convince him to come back home, with them. And the one of the things that they're sort of debating, or one of the more interesting things, was the idea of like, well, do we treat this as it's a game, or do we treat it as if these people that are here are actually real? And so do we act like nothing matters and we can act however we want, or do we actually care about these people because they're living, breathing people? So that was sort of interesting, but I just felt like it never set up any kind of real drama. It's like it even...
What one of my issues with it, and it's along those lines, is that they never really clearly set up the rules of the world. They don't set up. It's like this is how this reality works, and these are the rules that they talk about rules a lot because it's a game. They're inside of a game, and games are dictated by rules, but they never really set out what those rules are. They just say that the Grandmaster can change the rules, and then there's like, well, we just have to work out outside of the rules of the game. It's like, okay, but we as the reader have never been, made privy to what those rules are.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the entire thing, from the writing to the art, I felt to be muddy. I think that's a pretty good word to describe this book. Is it's muddy. It's unclear. It doesn't give you, I felt, enough to really latch on to. And maybe the story turns around, and maybe that's okay too. Not necessarily everything has to be laser focused, razor sharp. This is the story beats broken down, bam, 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 bam. Everything explained to you. Ambiguity is fine, but I just don't think that was necessarily the case, that he's going for that. It's just, I felt like it was just not really clear.
So, and this is kind of, whenever I look at series, do you feel like this is a 12-issue series, a 24 issue series, a 50 or 60 issue series. I mean, it's like it might be a 5 issue story for Sal apparently. But is this the kind of story that you want to see, kind of wrapped up in a pretty, easily digestible chunk, or is this something that, it's interesting enough where you want to see, 20, 30, 40, 50, 100 issues of these characters?
I think that it could be interesting if the setting was more interesting. Like I can't imagine myself reading 50 stories set in this place because there's a lack of variety within this place, right?
It feels like a video game, one of the big open world video games, and it's like we're on the first part of the map and everything else is covered in cloud, and so you just don't know what the rest of the world is. It could get very interesting, but I don't think that we've seen enough of what the possible world building could be to know if it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, and I think it could definitely go on for a long time. I mean, truth be told, it seems like it's doing pretty well. I think it's getting good reviews. It seems like people like the book, and maybe it's just something that I didn't connect with. And so I could definitely see that you could watch these characters sort of going through and debating a lot of different morality issues and dealing with the idea of the difference between game theory and reality and how you act in video games, say, or in RPGs or in a fantasy world. Is that your true character, the way that you behave in a world that isn't real, or is that you know what I mean? So I could definitely see that.
Is Batman the real person, or is
and so you could get into a lot of things, and I could definitely see people maybe enjoying that and reading it for a long time. I mean, Walking Dead went on for how many issues? So there's certainly, people may enjoy that sort of thing of just watching these characters deal with all these different situations. And because you have a fantasy world, you could bring literally anything you want into it. So it could go on for a long time. Me personally, I'm not gonna follow it, but that doesn't,
Good. It's a 5-issue series for you.
Probably. I might grab the next trade on Hoopla just to see where it goes, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. It just I don't know. I'm at a point where I don't need everyone to apologize for everything that's happened in the past. I'm kind of tired of that mentality of we need to apologize for everything that's gone on before today. I think it's a waste of time. I don't think that it really accomplishes anything, and I think that I don't need it in my fiction. It's bad enough it's on Twitter. I don't really need it in the stories that I read where we have to apologize for everything that we've done. I'm almost 50. I don't give a fuck anymore. It's done. It's over. I got to move on. I got to move forward. So if that's what maybe this is some sort of cathartic thing for him, for Kieron. I don't know. I felt like there was some sort of apology there, or some sort of begrudging.
I don't know who he was apologizing to.
Himself. I think himself.
Oh,
I think
okay.
You know what I mean.
Yeah.
I think he's sort of trying to make up for something that he feels he should have done different, or he doesn't do well enough, or I don't know what it is. Maybe I'm making that up. I don't know, but that's what I read in it, and it's just not that interesting to me. I was hoping for something a little more entertaining and not as I don't know, drab.
Okay,
that was the only part I found interesting. was that portion of it? Just because I think.
The World War One stuff.
Weird World War One thing. Well, to me, I didn't see it necessarily as a thread that I thought went through everything. I thought it was more of, to me, read it more as
just
within that moment of that context of that, which I actually thought was more interesting than the rest of it, because I didn't really find the characters that interesting. So I kind of thought like, well, maybe the setting will be interesting. And I do think there is something interesting about the thought of like all these people playing role-playing games throughout the world, and it's just like a constant state of conflict of just like when given the chance to like imagine something. Mostly we'd like to imagine fighting other people or
roll initiative.
You know, like there's something about that is interesting, you know? Like I don't necessarily know that was it was the part that was the most compelling to me out of the rest of it, because I kind of agreed with you that I didn't kind of care about the characters that much. And then outside of that, I kind of didn't care about the setting that much.
The key to a book like this is going to be the ability to really pull off the world building. And like I said, it's like the video game thing. I don't feel like we've seen enough of the world for me to be really vested in it yet. That may change.
Because there was like the one moment to me where I was kind of like, oh, okay, like this kind of like there's something kind of happening here. But then otherwise, it just kind of, I don't know, you know, like role playing games, there's so many like tropes you can play with. And I feel like they didn't really play with them as much as sort of just like plop them down, and then you just kind of like navigate your sort of way through them a little bit. And it, yeah. So I had sort of feeling the same way.
Well, even like the characters' power sets, like even the abilities they had, they were all sort of based on misery in one way or another, you know. And it's just like, oh, Jesus, you know, like the one, you know, the one guy, it's like he can only, you know, draw his sword if he's
when he's sad.
You know, and it's just like, wow, that's great.
There's sort of an unrelentingness to the characters. So like, you know, like
now. I do kind of like the quote unquote power of the character that it's a bargaining, negotiating with gods, that she gets perks from them, but then she has to pay it back in some way. That's kind of a neat little a neat little.
But it's not going to end well. I mean, it's this horrible thing. Like they're all. That's what I mean. They're all horrible. Like the one character is basically a junkie. The other one has to be incredibly sad. The other one, it has to make a deal with the devil every time they they want something. It's like these are all terrible things, and I get that he's making it that way because the villain created the world like that, but it makes for sort of this really negative, sarcastic, not sarcastic, but cynical look at gaming. Yeah. Like, is that what you got from gaming? Like,
gaming is escapism. That's why you game, is because I want to be a wizard or a barbarian fighter. I want to escape for a couple hours, 3-4 hours a week, and go, be a master archer, thief, whatever. And yeah, I mean, there's and this, the way that he set it up is,
you have to pay in blood in order to do that. It's fine. You're going to have to pay a really high price, and that's why I mean the World War I thing I felt filtered through it, because to me what he was saying was basically it's fine to play these games and spend all this time, but there are men that sacrificed real lives, real blood for war. And so when you're sitting here playing these games, pretending at war
to be a hero, what is a hero?
Right. And it's like, okay, I get that. I understand the idea of like, yes, we probably have never given the credit to the veterans that have fought in these wars, but at the same time, why do you think they fucking fought them? They fought them so that their kids and their grandkids didn't have to. And that didn't happen. It was the war, that World War I was the war to end all wars. Well, that didn't fucking happen. That's what those men and women too that served in that war were fighting it for, was so that their children and their grandchildren didn't have to do that. That's what they thought, at least. But
oopsie.
Yeah, the reality. So it's like, what are you trying to say? It's like these guys would be thrilled if they knew that their great grandkids or their grandkids were able to just play games and pretend at war and didn't actually have to go and die, I think they would be pretty happy. So it's very cynical. It's very sad in a lot of ways to kind of look at it from that perspective of like, it's a bad thing that we don't have to go and die in wars, like that seems really odd to me and a strange message out of a comic book.
All right. Well, it sounds like we're, if not split, some of us liked it more than others. Well, what did you like
about it? Tell. I mean, I've kind of dominated this conversation so far, and I don't.
No, I mean, it was the. I would say it's on the scale of 1 to 10. I'd say it's probably a 6. I will read it one. This is not going to be a reread for me. I liked it. I liked it fine. Probably wasn't digging for too much, deeper meaning in stuff. Certainly with the World War One scenes, I saw what he was trying to do with the fake war versus real war. Kind of juxtaposition on that. Yeah, like I said, it's not my favorite style of art. I think the concept was right off the bat something that was really intriguing, and I think concept can take you a long way in a book. It's probably enough for me to pick up the second trade, just because I have just enough interest in the characters to see if there's more leap in what they do. It's like he did this weird little hint of, and it was almost fourth wall breaking, where Chuck, it's like, oh, is Chuck developing? He literally almost says, is Chuck developing as a character? And then Chuck ends up, doing a hairpin and being an asshole again. But I actually want to see, it's like, are these really sad, broken characters through this second time of going through this, are they able to come out on the other side fixed for some reason? And so, yeah, I'll take another dip on the second trade and see if things develop and the likability of these characters goes up. If that makes any sense,
right?
Yep.
No, I got you. There is something about it that, like you said, it's a really strong concept, and certainly, Kieron
Innovation takes you away.
Is a good writer, and Stephanie Hans is a good artist. I think it just missed the mark with me. I don't know. It just, for whatever reason, it wasn't. Maybe it wasn't just what I was expecting, but I don't know. Like I said, the cynicism of it is just like, Jesus, I wouldn't want to play a fucking game of D&D with you, dude. Like, if that's your outlook on gaming, like, it has to be
British,
horrible fucking,
So if you're out there listening and you're British and you play D&D, is this what your games are like? We'd love to know. Actually, Sal, there's a good plug for the email address. If you would like to email us, ask us questions, suggest things for us to read or talk about, or just, I don't know, let us know what's going on in your part of the world, you can reach us at where, Sal?
info@aroundcomics.com. And of course, you can always get us on Twitter or Instagram or Facebook or on our website. Oh, speaking of Facebook, I do want to mention, somebody pointed out there's an old, like, our original Facebook page exists out there. It's still there. I don't have access to it any longer because at one point I had deleted my Facebook account. And so I can't access it. So if somebody was like asking, hey, how come you don't update this page anymore? Or why didn't you tell people you have a new page? And I can't. I don't have access to it. I thought I gave you guys admin access at one point, but I don't know if you do have it or not. If you do, add me as an admin, and then I can fix stuff. But
let me see. I don't think I did.
Yeah, I don't know. But so if you're still following the old Around Comics Facebook page, which hasn't been updated in forever, then
it's the wrong one.
Yeah, it's the wrong one, and search for the new one and look for stuff that's kind of updated regularly whenever I not that often. We don't work that hard at social media or promoting the podcast. You know, we just kind of
we're here to have a good time.
Exactly.
So our first, we'll call it, I don't know if we want to call it a book of the month or whatever, but my selection was Green Lantern Year One by Gabriel Hardman and Karina Sarabecco. So Sal's pick was a book that he didn't like called Die.
Sometimes you lose.
Sometimes you win, sometimes you lose. Yeah. So it is now Tom's pick. Tom, what are we going to be reading this month?
All right, guys. You might have heard of a popular movie called The Joker. Oh, I'm sorry, Joker. There is no the in front of it.
Joker.
Just Joker. And the incredible amount of discourse about it had made me go through the old hoopla to see what sort of Joker books they have in there. And what I have picked, I've picked The Joker, the Clown Prince of Crime, which is
that the
collection.
One?
That's the collection of the Joker solo series from like the 70s.
Oh God! Okay,
it's a very weird pick, just because all the discussion about Joker is really like made me think a lot about the actual character of the Joker and how like I kind of feel like he's been wrecked, like over time, like the sort of like the like modern idea of that character, you know, like everything after Alan Moore, after The Killing Joke, like has been sort of like this very downward spiral. I feel like he's overused. He's like super predictable, like right, like for a madcap character who's like does crazy stuff, like usually it's pretty predictable what he's going to do. You know, it's like not a surprise when the Joker shows up. He shows up like all the fucking time.
Well, he falls into the trap of like he became incredibly popular. You know, it's like Wolverine or Deadpool now or whatever. It's like, so of course the publisher's just going to pump them out and everything because it sells, because people fucking love
like
the Joker.
Three of them. There was the hint that there was 3 Jokers, which I was like, this is just so meta that of course there's 3 fucking Jokers, 3 different Jokers, and they can all have miniseries. So I'm intrigued at looking at, you know, of reading a Joker book of like when a time period where they're like, we're going to give the Joker his own book, but before the Joker sort of has become sort of the modern version of the Joker, which is like the crazy dark version of it.
Yeah, but this is somewhere in between like the Cesar Romero and Jack Nicholson version of Joker.
Like that one. And just I've read like an issue or 2 of it, but I've just decided to just pick a set of super old comics.
I love it
to read because I think it would be fun to read the Joker, because I'm just like all the discussion about the character. And I'm just like, I'm so sick of the Joker. And yet I'm like...
Yeah, you're picking a Joker book. Thank you, Tom.
I'm picking a Joker book. A different one, right? Because really what used to be great about I used to think that the character was great because, first of all, no origin story. So you didn't have to waste time endlessly retelling an origin story. Like, he shows up, right? And the thing that was great about the Joker was like, you know, he had like he wasn't usually trying to take over the world, though they started doing that all the time too. You know, like the Joker, his plans were never like totally sensical or like
there was a little bit of fun to him. They were just like
weird.
Yeah,
he was just like kind of like unpredictable, and it's like, you know, like, and he pops up in like Crisis on Infinite Earths, and he's trying to rob some old guy of like a bunch of silent movie comedies or whatever, right? Like, who cares? Like, what a goofy ass thing to do, but that's like what that character was, right? And he's like, over the years, as he and Batman have become so like entrenched with each other, I actually think it's been bad for both of those characters to just like be like linked like that.
It's the Joker and then everybody else. It's
become, and I think that, and I think like it's to the detriment of Batman, right? Because I'm not talking about these characters like they're real, right? But like,
they're real to you.
They're real. It's real to me, damn it. Go back to that. But
it looks like you can pick this up on Amazon for like $15.50 or so. I don't know if it's available at your local library or Hoopla, but
it is
okay.
Yeah.
I love the talent list that's associated with this. This is the Denny O'Neil era, so it's Denny O'Neil, Elliot S. Magan, Martin Pascal, and the artist on this, like Ernie Chan, Irv Novak, and Jose Luis Garcia Lopez with some Dick Giordano inks. So I'm excited about this.
Yeah, I was just, it's funny because I almost feel like the Joker has become like this weird. It's like this character that says more about like who's ever the creator than it does about the Joker.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's almost like he's become so.
He's a cipher.
Yeah,
he's not a character as much as he's a cipher at this point, and that's kind of how I view him too. Of just like, I've gotten to the point where the Joker, there's so many different takes on him, and everybody has their Joker story in them. Everybody has, the way they want to tell the Joker, and I don't mind it. Like, I understand the sort of why people like the Joker. I think he is sort of a malleable character, and it is, you can get really dark with him. You can get kind of silly with him. You can, more so dark in, like you said, after Alan Moore, like everything else, everything has gotten darker. But
sure,
I kind of view the Joker at this point of just sort of like a force of nature. He just, it can kind of, almost like a sickness. Like anyone can kind of be the Joker. And so whenever someone tells a new Joker story, it's not even the same character anymore. You know what I mean? It's just sort of like it happened to someone. It almost they were infected.
He's a force of nature. He's not a character.
Yeah, and like you said, Tom, it's like the writer, whoever's writing him, is just sort of getting something out, with that character, with the Joker. But I was shocked. I know you guys haven't seen the movie. I've been a little surprised by like some of the people that I've heard that really disliked it, like really did not like it, and it's mostly like older comic book fans. It seems like that really, really, really don't like the movie. Like I could understand not enjoying it. It's not your thing. You didn't care for it, but like the people that are like, this is a terrible movie. This is bad. This is awful. This is a horrible movie, and I'm just like, really?
Okay.
Like I'm like, I think I have decent taste. I may not be like the best,
Did you like?
I really enjoyed it. I thought it was terrific, and maybe it's because once again I go into it sort of like I don't expect it to be in canon. I don't expect it to be a part of the comics that I've read for 30 years. I don't expect it to follow any rules. I just wanted an interesting story, and I think you got if nothing else, you got an amazing performance out of an actor.
Sure.
So it's like how, and that's the weird thing. Like I've heard people talk about it, like going, "Oh, it's a terrible movie."
What?
Joaquin Phoenix is amazing in it, but it's a terrible movie. And it's like, well, how is that even possible if you can have a unbelievable performance,
an Oscar level performance,
but it's a terrible movie?
I
don't get.
Well, I think there's so much discussion about it that, and I haven't seen it, but I find it hard to believe that it could possibly be worthy of the amount of like discussion before it came out, right? Where people, like just that level of just like hand wringing and just like, oh my God, like what if it incites violence? And then sort of like it feels like the movie has become like the character where it's kind of a cipher for whatever you want to like.
Sure.
Whatever you think it is.
I think a lot of people probably go into it with a preconceived notion of whether they're going to like it or not, which is not how I like to digest entertainment.
Yeah. Well, Tom, to your point, I think you're right on it. Like, it seems like, I've heard so many different things about what people have said about it is like, oh, it's like apologizing for incels, or it's like, you know, the people. If you like the movie, you must be, you know, this kind of person.
Yeah.
You know, and that sort of thing. Like it's already this sort of preconceived notion about, you know, if you don't find this despicable, or if you don't find this terrible, then you must be this. You know, and it's just this weird sort of, like you said, you know, okay, what are you hiding? What is your, what kind of issues are you dealing with? It's just a movie. It's just a movie. You know what I mean? Good or bad, it's, at the end of the day, it's just a movie about a made up character. It's a guy in makeup. That's all it really is. And, you know, I liked it.
I mean, I haven't seen it, but it's like, it's so strange that there's so much discussion of what probably isn't in any sort of real way a controversial movie, right? Like, of like anything within it.
I mean,
you know,
it's very dark. It's a very dark movie. It's a very, I mean, it is absolutely a love letter or an homage to, you know, Scorsese films of the 70s. It's very much, to me, a mix of like Taxi Driver and The King of Comedy. There's no question, and I don't think Todd Phillips wasn't hiding that fact. I mean, he cast De Niro in the role that Jerry Lewis played in the De Niro movie, The King of Comedy. You know what I mean? So it's not like he was pretending that he was doing anything other than that he was using that same sort of look and feel. But people act like that's a bad thing. It's like, those are 30-year-old movies. I mean, and they're classics. They're great movies.
Yeah, if you're going to do an homage,
if you're going to do something,
it's a pretty good place to start.
Right.
Did you guys happen to see the Saturday Night Live
the
parody?
Oscar? Yeah, it was terrific.
The Oscar the Grouch.
Terrific. That was brilliant.
It was awesome.
It really was. That was so. And I guess David Harbour is the guy who came up with that idea.
That's he. I listened to him on because you guys know I'm a NPR nerd. He's done a few pretty extensive NPR interviews. It may have been like a Fresh Air or something like that. But he's a really interesting dude. He's had a interesting acting career in life, and just his approach to stuff. It's if you have a chance to track down any interviews with him, he's interesting.
I told these guys before we recorded that I finally watched Avengers Endgame. I also I save all of my terrible movie watching for when I'm on planes.
Yes. Yes.
So I watched the new. I'm where I chat. I watched the new Hellboy movie, the most recent one.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Which is a chef's. I'm doing a chef's kiss right now. Perfect airplane movie.
I don't even know what that is.
It's just like a bad movie or like, you don't sit there and regret that you're like, oh, I wish I was seeing this on like a TV at home under perfect conditions. You know, like I'm on a flight for 4.5 hours. I need something. I got bored of what I'm reading and watched Hellboy, and he was good in it. I actually liked him. Everything else in that movie is so like it's
too much like the comic book is the problem. It lifts stuff straight out of the comic, and it almost plays it too straight. Yeah. Yes. I didn't hate it, but it's not good. You know,
it's like the stuff where they pulled so many things that were so directly from the comics, but also like kind of didn't execute it as well as they could.
Well, I think
so. If you described it to me, I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, I don't, yeah.
Well, I think part of it too is like with Hellboy the comic, because of Mignola's style, his wonderful art style, and this sort of esoteric way that he tells a story, he can, he can really give you something that is on paper kind of nothing, But
Yes.
he's so talented. He's such a good artist, and the way he lays out a story and the way that he writes that character, it's intriguing. But then when you try and recreate it in a movie, it just doesn't work because it's not his style. It's not his visual look and feel of the book and everything that he, you can't. Yeah, so it just, I don't know. It's weird. Like,
I always felt like the Del Toro it was Del Toro, right?
Yeah,
yeah,
Benicio.
Yeah, I always thought that was like the fan fiction movie versions of Hellboy.
Yeah, I liked the first one. I mean,
they were fine, but it still wasn't. It was like a fan fiction version,
But also, like, think about how those comics are structured. Those comics are structured in such, just storytelling wise, so non-movie.
Oh yeah,
and that like
they're like poetry
here's
or
this
something.
story, and then this other story happens 8 years later, and then like there's huge gaps of time, and just like
and nothing's explained,
explained except like, and in that sense, it's perfect, right? Because it's like, here's this huge tapestry of like time, and this little story is one thing that happens within it. And it's like, of course, I'm not going to bother to explain everything to you because there's 40 years of stuff that's happened. So
there's 300 years of ancient,
yeah, right.
lore.
You always kind of know that you're just kind of getting dropped into something, and that's just how the universe works. Like, there are threads that go from stories to story, and things pop up again, but like, it's not like they don't run it like a Rogue One, where the end of that movie is directly the start of the next movie. Like, they're not like
right
together like that, like it could be like 8 years where Hellboy is in Africa wandering around, and then
which is awesome,
and it like kind of liberates all those stories from having to like tie in like literally so tightly together. But then when you watch it in a movie, you're just kind of like, what the fuck is happening? Because you're watching like a 2-hour thing, right? And they're jamming all this stuff in there.
Well, that was the thing. It was extremely Hellboy. Like, that movie with David Harbour it really was so much like the comic. It just doesn't work as a movie. It just you can't do the same thing. I thought
we kind of see that over and over again, don't we?
Well, yeah, I think it's
speaking of Watchmen premieres on HBO tonight.
That's right.
Does it?
Yeah, I'm probably gonna watch that after this.
Something I've been rereading along the same topic is I'm in the middle of rereading V for Vendetta, which I haven't read in a long time, and I forgot how good that is.
Yeah,
and how I wish it wasn't. Yeah. And I'm like, oh man, I wish this book wasn't so timely as much. I mean, like, on the third page of the book, a character references making Britain great again.
Oh Jesus!
Like, like on the third page of it, I was like, oh, okay.
Alan, he knew.
You know what he's talking about. But as far as like the translation from, watching these things that are such great comic books, and the V for Vendetta movie was, it was pretty good. But like, you forget, then rereading the book, you're like, oh yes, the book had much more. There's much more going on here than what can be captured like in the movie. Same with the sort of watching that Hellboy movie where it's like, oh, it's great. They pulled all these things from it, and it's somehow less the sum of its parts.
Well,
it's somehow putting it all together, you're like, that's not as good as it could be.
I have a theory, and let me know what you guys think about this. But so I was watching the new. We went and saw the new Lion King, the CGI version of the Lion King, and I was, the first 10 minutes, it's like, holy shit, this looks amazing. Like, those are real lions and real monkeys and all the, it's like, it looks unbelievable. But then about 10 minutes into it, I'm like, this is boring. I know, I've seen this 14 times. I know the story, and it's not as good now. I was talking to my niece about it afterwards, and she was saying, I didn't feel very connected to any of the performances. Like for some reason, it was amazing to watch, but I didn't feel anything. And I remember reading. Do you guys remember the books How to Make Comics by Scott McCloud?
Oh yeah, sure.
Been around forever, right? And I remember him talking about like why comics. One of the reasons why comic books work and like cartoons work is because the simplicity of the drawings allow us to connect and put our own sort of emotion and feelings into those characters. We fill in the gaps. You know what I mean? Like if because they're so simple in comparison to reality, our brains kind of fill in the gaps. So I think that's sort of the thing with Hellboy. Like it's so simple in a lot of ways that we kind of fill in a lot of the holes. But then when it's a movie, it's not. You're just sort of given it, and there's no gaps to fill in. So it's like you either accept it or you don't. And you may not connect with it as well because there's no gaps for you to fill in. I don't know. That's just a sort of theory I have on that kind of thing. Did I lose completely? You lose you guys on that?
You just blew my mind.
Yeah, I think leaving something to the imagination. I mean, there's, if something is technically superior, it's like how I felt about Avatar. It looked amazing. I wasn't emotionally connected to it. The animated version of The Lion King, cry like a little baby. It's so
you were Mufasa. You were.
Yeah. What is the shadowy place, Daddy? It's isn't that what it's all about? We're talking about Die earlier and the stuff and even Joker. It's really at the end of the day, it's about creating an emotional connection with your audience, with your reader, and it can be technically superior, the execution on art and visuals and whatnot. But if you don't create some sort of personal connection with the viewer, with the reader, you've missed the mark.
Yeah,
there's a lot of beautiful stuff out there, but at the end of the day, it's gotta mean something to you, right?
Absolutely. I think. I mean, going back to the beginning, it's like if I don't care, then what's the point? What the hell is it for? What is it doing to me? I don't need to go to school when I watch a movie. I don't. Well, if I want that, I'll watch a documentary.
And I feel that with like really good writers, like, and the writers, the men and women that just kind of grab you with stuff, that I think is the key whenever I read something, and if they make me feel vested in a character in like the smallest amount of time possible. I mean, there are some writers, there are some directors. Sometimes it can be a movie where they can within like a minute or two, like actually kind of make you care about something or someone, and if something bad happens to them, you're like, oh my God. It's like you've had like 90 seconds with this character, and now they have ruined your life. It's skill. It is absolutely the skill of writing, is to make you connect with something or someone and then rip that away and make you feel
Stop making me feel things.
Yeah. And we know the writers that are able to do that. It's an absolute skill. And So
on another note, have you guys watched on Hulu the Wu-Tang Clan saga?
I started watching it, and I'm absolutely going to finish it.
Oh, I love it. I'm obsessed with it. I can't wait every Wednesday for it to come out. It's so good. It's so. Yeah. But every time I watch it, or every time I think about it, I cannot help but think about the time where Chris, when you pronounce
the RZA.
RZA.
Yeah.
And yes, and the RZA. I was just like, what? Hello, middle-aged white man.
Yeah.
The Wu-Tang Clan.
And I will.
Is that some sort of Chinese restaurant? Is that?
The Wu-Tang Clan.
I had to bring that up. Sorry, I apologize, but
Oh, it's a classic. It's classic,
It is.
And I own it. I'll wear it. I'll wear it, Sal.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
I'll wear it.
I will say,
Mm-hmm.
when I went to Summerfest over the summer in Milwaukee up there, I was wearing a Wu-Tang Clan T-shirt, and I got more comments from people than any shirt I've ever worn in my life.
The day that you went was going to be conducive to that.
Yeah, that's true enough.
You went on a day where there was
a
lot of hip hop and rap acts.
Yeah. But it was mostly white
for
people.
The children.
Wu-Tang is for the children town. You're right. You're absolutely right. Oh yes, good stuff. Good stuff. Well, the show's really good though. I've watched all the episodes and I think it's really good. It's to me it's like one of the best comic book movies out there, in a weird way.
In a weird way, you're right.
Really?
It is.
They're putting together the Justice League. Like they're putting together. Like I'm just
Wu-Tang
waiting
Assemble.
Yeah, it really is, and I love it. I enjoy the hell out of it.
That's awesome.
I watched the first one. I'm gonna get around to it. It's a comic book movie. It's the greatest. Yeah. It's currently my favorite comic book TV show.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's the first episode all about getting the gang together.
No, the 6 episodes, 7 episodes in, they're still. No,
they're still getting together. It takes a long time, dude.
So it's the deconstructed trade paperback style of
it's the Brian Michael Bendis.
So, it's been so it's written by so what you're telling me is that the Wu-Tang Clan was written by Bendis.
Well, I think it's the RZA who's been writing it, but
the RZA, Bendis, and the RZA.
But it's really good. Like I want to know about these guys. Like I want to know, and it's not. I don't even think it's like, too much hyperbole. I mean, they don't spend a whole lot of time like glamorizing anything necessarily. Yeah. I mean, obviously they were all very talented, musicians and rappers, especially, MCs, but they don't even spend that much time on that as of yet. And it's really just sort of like telling this story about these guys that, were trying to get out of a bad situation or trying to change their lives or just loved music. And I think it's really good. I think it's excellent. And,
nice. Awesome.
And
it's Wu-Tang, an American saga.
Hell yeah.
Which is hell yeah.
That is awesome.
Bring the ruckus.
All right. Well, so we've got the next time we get together, we're going to be talking about Joker. Yep. Is there anything else we want to cover in this episode before we wrap things up?
I had an email. Well, I have an email and a tweet if you guys want to.
A tweet? Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay,
absolutely.
So the email is from Christopher Vu, who has emailed us before. He calls himself the Neo Samurai. And he asks, why does Chris insist on saying whenever when any other normal person in the world would say when? Now, I have to admit...
Is that a tick of mine?
It must be, but I have never noticed that. But apparently you must say whenever as opposed to when.
God, don't start emailing us about verbal tics.
Because I have a lot of them.
Please stop. Don't.
Well, I guess he's just curious if it's something you do on purpose or you do it accidentally, apparently.
Absolutely not on purpose.
Okay. All right. Well, there you go, Chris.
Use less words, Chris. Use less words. Why are you using so many words?
I got to fill time, Tom.
You're annoying our listeners by saying whenever.
I've been annoying listeners since 2006.
This is true. Haven't we all?
Listeners have been tolerating you since 2006.
Yeah. Around comics, listening to the other two guys.
No, not at all. Not true.
No. This is Chris's die.
This is four-sided die.
Oh no.
All right. Well,
hold on. I got a tweet.
Huh? Oh, we got a
tweet.
Oh, an email and a tweet.
Is
this one also about my my
no?
My
not at all.
Grammatical.
What's the deal with Chris?
Why did Chris's L's sound like W's?
Chris, no, this is just a question. And it was just posted. I tweeted out earlier that we were recording an episode tonight. So, Jason, the servant, the servant Ford, Jason Ford. He is at ThunderDuck360. He said, "Awesome question. What was your favorite Vertigo series? I just reread Sandman number 74.
Wait, did he say awesome question or awesome?
No.
Awesome.
He said
Exclamation
awesome.
mark. Looking at it right now.
Yeah,
Okay.
exclamation
So
mark. Awesome
question.
That was in
Awesome
reply to
exclamation.
the fact that we were putting out another episode. He said awesome.
Great.
Then he went on to ask a question.
Question.
What was your favorite Vertigo series? I just reread Sandman number 74 and was brought back to 96 when we had a great run of new and groundbreaking comics. So do you have a favorite Vertigo series?
Yes, there's one answer for me. Tom, you?
I'm thinking. There's so many good ones. I'm just trying to
Yeah, it's my favorite series of all time.
100 Bullets?
100 Bullets.
Oh,
Absolutely.
There you go.
Just a fantastic, perfect series from issue 1 to 100. It's a perfect series.
100.
Perfect for me. It's perfect.
You know what popped into my head? Why the Last Man?
It's a great one. Yeah, for sure.
I'd have to really think about it, but that was like the first answer that sort of came to my head. I'm sure there's something else. I'm like, oh no, I'd like that more.
I mean, Preacher was awesome. I mean, there's a lot of them. Preacher was great.
Scalped was great. DMZ was really good. That was a little bit later on, obviously. Preacher is one that I certainly have a lot of affinity for, and Hellblazer, but Sandman, great. But I think probably my favorite was Fables.
Yeah.
I loved Fables. I thought that
with Vertigo, there's almost no bad answer. I mean, that was
right.
That was legitimately like a seal of approval. If it came out from Vertigo, it was worth picking. I mean, there was probably there was a 5 or 6 year period where it's like if there was a new series from Vertigo, I was gonna read at least a couple issues of every one, and that was a stamp of quality. But 100 Bullets might be my favorite series of all time. So that's of any comic.
There you go. So there's your answer.
You got your answer,
Jason, the servant of Duckzilla, whatever the hell yours was.
Thank you, Jason. Keep the questions coming. So what's the Twitter? The Twitter handle?
@Around Comics. It's same as Instagram. @Around Comics. We've had those for a long time, so we didn't have to do anything like the Real Around Comics or Around Comics podcast.
Real Around Comics.
Real Around Comics.
@Real Around Comics.
We are the real one. God damn it! Hopefully, no one steals that Facebook page from us. Someone else just
hacks it.
Someone hacks it. Oh shit!
I just love it because Sal's like, "Fuck social media, I'm out of here," and then it's like, "Oh well, shit, I should have deleted that page."
Well, I was just like, no, the weird thing was just, I don't know. I was so tired of Facebook, and it was more for me. I was just like spending too much time arguing with people. Believe it or not, I was arguing with people. And so I kind of did it just so I would stop doing that, because I kind of hate it. I just didn't want to be that person.
It's a moment of self-realization that we were all in rough.
So that's when I deleted it. It was just like, I don't want to waste time arguing with people I don't even fucking know. You know what I mean?
It's why I stopped drinking brown liquor.
There you go.
It just doesn't end well.
Right? Nothing good happens after 3 a.m.
Nothing good happens when Chris drinks bourbon.
No.
All right. Well, I think that's. I think we can wrap up on that note. Good discussion tonight. We will come back and talk about the Joker. Is it the Crown Prince of Crime? Is that the
clown?
The clown
prince.
Clown Prince of Crime.
Yeah,
all right. So
he's a clown. Guys, he's a
clown.
He's a clown?
He has makeup.
I thought he was a
So I'm
serial
looking
killer.
looking forward to that. Let's all go watch and talk about the Watchmen series on HBO. Maybe a little bit next time. I've started checking out the Batman or the Batwoman series. Oh, you're not going to watch Watchmen?
Tom does
But I
not
checked
want
out-
to
might give it a
insult
shot.
Alan Moore with, supporting something.
I just have gotten to the point where often I'm like, do I need to know more
Yeah, no, I
about
get
this stuff? Where it's like,
Yeah, I can see that.
I will say,
It's-
not about Watchmen, but I saw something today that initially I was like, I don't need any more Star Wars in my life. But I saw the trailer for The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian looks fucking awesome, dude.
Fuck, I'm gonna have to get goddamn Disney Plus.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna have to subscribe, aren't
Yep.
I? Yeah, it looks pretty fucking amazing.
Yeah, and Billy D. Williams is in it. It's like
Yeah.
right there, you got me at Billy D. Williams. You
Dis-
had
Disney's
me at
like
Billy D.
Disney basically said we're going to lose money on the production of this just to get all of you assholes to subscribe.
They're not going to lose any money. They're going to make
No, they're not.
plenty,
They're not going to lose
plenty.
any money, but it looks amazing. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. So, and yeah, I saw the list on. God, what a marketing thing! Disney started putting out tweets on listing everything that's going to be available on Disney Plus, like 140. It took them 3.5 hours of continuous tweets of everything that is going to be available on that platform at launch.
Oh boy.
It's I mean, for the comic book fans, because of all the Marvel stuff, obviously, like all of the Spider-Man and his Amazing Friends and the X-Men cartoons and all of that. So there's going to be a lot of comic content out there.
I don't know why this sparked a funny story in my head. Can I tell you guys a funny, kind of funny, not really hilarious.
okay.
We're not going to say no.
So a while back, there was a story that came out, like Netflix tweeted about someone had watched the Bee Movie, the animated movie, the Bee Movie that is it's Jerry Seinfeld and what's her name? I can't think of her name now. Anyway, it doesn't matter. But it's an older animated film, and it's about bees. And somebody had watched it over the past, like from 2018 to 2019, they had watched it 347 times in a year's span.
Okay.
Well, the funny thing was my daughter and I saw that story, and we both thought it was my wife. Because because she goes to bed almost every single night watching that movie. Every single night she falls asleep listening to Jerry Seinfeld playing a bee in an animated movie. So we thought for sure it was her. It wasn't, but I want to know. I'm like fascinated to see if she's watched it as many times as whoever this person was that Netflix has tweeted. But the fact that Netflix knows that too is a little weird.
Why does Kim love that movie so much?
I don't even think she loves it. I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure that
does it just make her fall asleep? Is it like a Pavlov's dog thing?
I think it's just sort of a comfort thing. Like she knows it, so at this point she doesn't have to pay attention to it. She wants noise, and she likes the noise and the light, but she doesn't want something that she'll actually pay attention to. So she's seen it so many times. My
wife is like that with Law and Order SVU. She can just that's her background.
It's
noise.
white noise.
Like, seriously,
yeah,
it's white noise. She doesn't watch it. It's completely unengaging. She can have it on, and she already know. I mean, Ice-T finds a dead person, and they eventually arrest them. I mean, that's the story.
There you go. It's the same thing. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, almost every single night I come to bed and I turn off B movie. It's either that or it's like Hotel Transylvania 3. One or the other. I don't. Yeah, my wife does not have.
Cracks my shit up.
Mine too.
We forgot to mention that Werner Herzog is in The Mandalorian, so that you should.
Werner Herzog is in Mandalorian.
Yeah,
he's in The Mandalorian. Yeah, he's going to play the bad guy.
He looks almost like he's
what
Palpatine-ish looking.
That's
amazing. No one's ever combined the interests of both current Tom and 12-year-old Tom, such as
Even
like,
Tom's
Werner
going to have to
Herzog-
subscribe.
Yeah, Werner Herzog
Is in The Mandalorian.
plus Star Wars. It's like,
Everybody
oh,
loves Star
fine.
Wars, Tom. Everyone, even Werner.
Everyone does. Even
I met him, and it was amazing. He was down in Champaign, Illinois, for one of the Robert Ebert overlooked film festivals, and they were showing one of his movies. I think it's the one with the crabs on the beach, and I can never remember the name of it.
Finding
It had
Nemo?
to be, huh?
Finding Nemo? Was that?
It was not Finding Nemo. No, it was. Yeah, it was. Invincible. That was the name of it. Great movie. I just remember the visuals of these crabs on the beach. It was crazy. Tim Roth is in it. But yeah, like literally bumped into him on the streets of Champaign and shook his hand and said I loved his movies. Just big guy, big guy, big personality.
He's a man's man.
Boys, I mean he's one of a kind.
For sure.
Yeah.
Werner Herzog.
So watch Invincible. It's a pretty crazy movie.
I definitely have not done a good job of watching enough of his films. I need to watch more of them.
Fitzcarraldo.
I think I did watch that one actually.
Was Aguirre. It's The Wrath of God. It's and there's actually a pretty amazing documentary. It's called My Fiend, and it's basically about his relationship with Klaus Kinski.
Yep. There's the documentary about Fitzcarraldo that Werner Herzog didn't make that, but that's a pretty amazing documentary. Grizzly Man. That's also a good one.
Yeah, I saw that.
He just did that one about volcanoes. That was on Netflix.
Yeah,
a year or two ago. I can't remember off the top of my head. He did the one about the Arctic with the classic memeable moment of the penguin that's gone insane and is wandering in the wrong direction.
Yeah,
it's just like yes.
He's like a filmmaker's filmmaker. He's that guy, and he's in Mandalorian. God damn you, Disney!
Damn it, money. He's got some of that Disney money, baby.
Yeah, he did. He's like, yeah, all right.
Oh, you know what I didn't talk... Well, we can save this for maybe the next episode, but I did start reading Hip Hop Family Tree.
Oh, it's awesome. Isn't it?
Yeah, very good. Well, it's like insane. I've never been into... I'm into hip hop. I'm into old school hip hop now more than I've ever been in my life.
Sure,
like I'm reading that. I'm watching Hip Hop Evolution and the Wu-Tang Clan thing. Like,
you're deep.
I'm deep into hip hop right now.
There are several Spotify hip hop family tree playlists out there that are volume.
I'm gonna have to check them out. Yeah, I've been listening. It's like I went from Wu-Tang Clan to I've been listening to Gravediggers, the RZA's other band, because it's like
RZA.
RZA's
it's
other
the
band.
RZA.
The RZA. That was his other like horrorcore band, and that really I like that kind of stuff. There's not enough horror in music, in my opinion. There should be more.
I always have been a big Alice Cooper fan.
A little bit more, Bobby Boris Pickett, a little Monster Mash. Monsters Holiday, the classics.
Classics, absolutely. Can't get enough of it. No, I've always I was always gravitated towards, like I said, Alice Cooper and the Misfits, anything horror related. The Cramps, and so it's like, oh, there's hip hop now. I'm finding hip hop that's horror
hip hop.
Horror hip hop, horrorcore. So it's like, oh, okay, this is really in my liking, in my wheelhouse, if you will.
Yeah, Ed Piskor is rapidly becoming like a modern master. I love his work, and the Hip Hop Family Tree, the big like double volumes are great. And the X-Men series that he's been doing. Really looking forward to the Tom Scioli Fantastic Four
evolution thing or whatever.
It's like what Pisker did with X.
Right.
So it's that's gonna be a lot of fun. So, all right, boys. Well, I think we should probably wrap this one up. It's been a good chit chat. Once again, if you want to contact the show, you can reach us at info@aroundcomics.com, or you can hit us up on all of the social media at Around Comics, on the Twitters and the Instagrams. Search for Around Comics on Facebook. There's no new posts since 2009, it's the wrong page apparently. But we, as always, would love to hear from you. And you guys have any other closing comments before we wrap this one up?
I was going to give a shout out to Will Pfeiffer. He started the Out of Theaters podcast again.
Yeah.
Billy Koopa,
Yeah.
Something like that.
And Will, if you're listening, because I work in Janesville twice a week, which is like 20 minutes from Rockford, where Will works. We're gonna have lunch in the next couple weeks.
I've got a spot. Rockford in November.
Really?
Yeah, I'm going.
Oh, you got a fight?
No, I'm going to see a comedian at Rockford.
He's gonna go fight someone in Rockford.
I'm gonna go fight a comedian.
I'm going to fight Rockford. A comedian. I'm going to go see I'm not going to mention the comedian, but I'm going to go see a comedian.
Okay.
I did.
Yeah.
Why? Why won't you mention who it is?
Did he like to jerk off in front of women?
He might have. Yes, he may have allegedly.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Masturbated in front of a few women.
Have we seen this comedian together at one point?
We did at the Chicago Theater. Yes, that's true. Yeah.
It's a great show. It's great with Hannibal Buress. Fucking Stephen Wright.
Stephen Wright. Yeah.
It was.
You guys are seeing Gallagher too in person.
Yes, finally, my dream.
He did some crazy things with those watermelons. So Will, we're gonna have lunch soon, buddy. It's I just gotta
whether you like it or not, Will.
Do you like it or not?
Like a threat.
Oh,
we're gonna have lunch.
I'm sorry, I keep dragging this out, but I also am working on, and I haven't told you guys this yet, but you're obviously.
Jesus.
More than welcome to be a part of it, but you're not, forced to. But I'm trying to get a panel at C2E2, which is in February. I'm trying to put a panel together, and basically it's going to be, if it works out, it'll be with some other comic book pros, and doing sort of a live performance thing. It wouldn't be a podcast. It'll be something different. Obviously, we can record it and release it as a podcast. Is there
dancing?
There could be. I'm not. You won't be required to dance. No, but so I'm trying to.
I've got sick moves.
I'm sure you do. So we'll see if that comes together. I'm working on it right now, trying to get some people involved and trying to get them to approve it at C2E2. So everyone email Lance Fensterman at ReadPop and tell him you want my panel at C2E2, and maybe that'll convince him to let me do it.
Is it
Give me the
panel?
It would be it would be something. It would be presented by Around Comics. How's that? But it would not be an Around Comics panel. It would be something different. But hopefully something fun and goofy and entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'll tell you guys off air. I just don't want to.
What weekend? Let me see if I'm available.
Yeah, it's February 23rd or something like that. I think. I don't know.
Okay.
Still currently.
Well, how about we talk about it? Intermission at the Gallagher show.
Okay. Yeah. We'll go outside and vape and
Yeah, exactly.
Gallagher, incredibly soft hands.
Vaping at a Gallagher 2 show. Yeah.
Completely unironic.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's the craziest
thing
ever.
Note.
Gallagher 2. All right. That's it. I think I'm done. I think that's all the...
All right. That's it. That's all the announcements, mini announcements, possible announcements for future panels at future...
I'm also trying to get a panel at CT. No, I'm kidding.
Might have a bigger draw, Tom.
Probably.
No, I don't.
Probably.
Tom's going to talk about the Clown Prince of Crime for an hour.
Yeah. Talk at you for a while.
Yeah. So, all
No
right.
questions.
I'm just going to talk about
Sit down.
The next hour and
It's gonna be-
45 minutes.
It's going to be Tom's 50 minutes on his thoughts on Fitzcarraldo.
You walk up to the microphone, and I'll decide whether you get to ask a question.
Based purely
No,
on your
sit down.
appearance.
Yeah, sit down. Don't want to hear it.
Nah, unworthy.
All
All right,
don't want
folks.
to.
Well, thank you for listening to this episode of Around Comics. We'll be back sometime in the next month here to talk about Tom's book of the month and anything else in
And around comics.
comics. All right.
Wu-Tang, motherfuckers!
Oh, jeez.
Wu-Tang's for the children.
Read Hip Hop Family Tree.
You're listening to Around Comics.